My brother finally got sober and got visitation back. So I joked with a rum cake, watched his test pop positive, sat smiling at the custody hearing while mom screamed, "Dad disowned me," his ex thanked me, and the group chat exploded. They're overreacting and I still don't regret it. I'll try to keep this short, but it probably won't be. So my brother David is the golden boy who burned out. He was the funny one, the one who could charm anyone, the life of the party, and the alcoholic. He's been in and out of trouble since his 20s, DUI, bar fights, rehab, all of it. He's 34 now, I'm 31. For years, everything revolved around his drinking, the lies, the money that disappeared, my parents crying over him, my dad yelling at everyone else because we're supposed to support him. Meanwhile, I was the one helping mom pick him up from random parking lots at 2 a.m. or wiring him rent money so he wouldn't be homeless. I used to defend him when everyone else said he'd never change. Then he started stealing from Dad's workshop, pawn tools, and the last straw was when he missed Summer's second birthday because he was detoxing. Summer's his daughter, Sophie, his ex-wife, divorced him 3 years ago after catching him drinking in the garage when he promised her he'd been sober. She took Summer and said she was done. I thought that would be the end of it, but of course, everyone went soft again. David went to a rehab center last year and came back acting like he'd found God. Suddenly, he's in therapy, going to meetings, and talking about accountability. Mom's crying every time he says something half-decent. Dad brags to anyone who'll listen that his son is turning his life around. And Sophie, she actually started letting him see Summer again. Supervised visits, but still. They all acted like I was supposed to clap too, like none of us had lived through his chaos before. I told them it felt premature. They told me I was bitter. Maybe I am. Anyway, a few weeks ago, I decided to host a small family dinner. Nothing fancy. Just me, my parents, Sophie, and David. I thought maybe it'd be good to celebrate how far we've come, like Mom said. I cooked. Everyone brought something, and it was going fine until dessert. That's when the incident happened. I made my usual rum cake. It's the one thing everyone loves, and I've made it for years. The family knows it's my thing. I used to make it even before David's drinking got bad. When I mentioned it earlier in the week, Mom asked if I could make a non-alcoholic version. I laughed it off. It's a cake. It's not a cocktail. The amount of rum you bake with barely registers. But whatever. I said I'd use rum extract this time instead of the real thing, except I didn't. I used the real bottle because it was already in my pantry and the extract had expired. And honestly, I didn't think about it again after. The dinner went smooth. David looked nervous when he saw the cake, made a joke about me trying to test him, and everyone laughed awkwardly. I told him to relax, it's just dessert. He hesitated, but eventually took a slice after I teased him that if he's that fragile, maybe sugar's next on his banned list. Everyone ate, we had coffee, he even took leftovers home. End of story. Or so I thought. 2 days later, I got a text from Mom in all caps asking me what I'd done. Turns out, David had a random test as part of his sobriety program, and it came back positive for alcohol. He swore he hadn't had a drink. Mom immediately jumped to blaming me and the cake. I honestly thought she was joking. I mean, if you can't eat a piece of baked dessert without failing a test, maybe your body's still catching up to your drinking history. But no, apparently, it really does trigger results. He failed, and now they're reviewing his visitation rights again. Mom's hysterical. Dad called me cruel. I tried to explain it wasn't intentional. Or maybe it was, a little bit. I don't know. I guess part of me did wonder if he was really as clean as everyone said. It's hard to believe after watching him ruin everything for years. I didn't pour a glass of whiskey in his hand. I baked a dessert that's literally been in the family cookbook for decades. But now everyone's acting like I spiked his drink at a funeral. Dad told me I sabotaged him, that David was finally getting his life together and I couldn't handle not being the perfect one anymore. That one stung because I never asked to be the perfect one. I was just the one who didn't destroy things. Mom hasn't spoken to me since. She even uninvited me to Sunday lunch, which hasn't happened since I was in high school. David sent me a long message about how I ruined everything. I didn't answer. What would be the point? He's always blaming someone else. When it was his wife, she nagged him into drinking. When it was Dad, he never believed in him. When it was me, I made him feel small. There's always someone. So now the whole family's split in half. Mom and Dad are furious. Sophie is weirdly calm. David's playing the victim again. And me? I'm just sitting here wondering how this became my fault. I didn't tell him to eat the cake. I didn't pour the rum down his throat. I didn't schedule the test. He made his choices, and if one slice of dessert sends him spiraling, that's on him, not me. Update 1. This whole thing has gotten way out of hand and everyone keeps calling me a monster, like I sat down one day and made a plan to ruin my brother's life. Meanwhile, Sophie, his ex-wife, messaged me out of nowhere. She said she heard about the test and just wanted to say thank you. That threw me off. She said it's a relief to know she wasn't wrong to keep her guard up. Apparently, she'd been feeling pressured by everyone, even Mom, to give him more time with Summer. She said what happened just confirmed what she already suspected, that David wasn't as ready as everyone wanted to believe. I didn't know how to respond at first, but after a while, I found myself replying more and more. She told me how exhausting it was dealing with him, how manipulative he could be when he wanted sympathy. I told her I understood, that I'd been dealing with the same thing my whole life. We ended up talking almost every day after that. She said she finally feels like someone sees her side of things. I guess in a weird way that made me feel seen too. People keep asking if I did it on purpose. I didn't. Not at first, but now that I've had time to think about it, I can admit I knew what I was doing when I baked that cake. I wasn't sitting there plotting some evil scheme, I just didn't care anymore. I'd spent years watching everyone tiptoe around him, excusing everything. He could lie, steal, scream, disappear for days, and somehow Mom would find a way to make it someone else's fault. I was sick of it. I wanted everyone to stop pretending he was some miracle story. And maybe I did want to see if he was really as strong as he claimed. Turns out he wasn't. I don't think that makes me cruel. I think it makes me honest. People online are acting like I crossed some line, but these same people have never watched their brother destroy their parents over and over again. You stop seeing him as fragile after a while. You just see the chaos that follows him everywhere. Anyway, things haven't calmed down. Dad stopped coming by. Mom told my aunt she's heartbroken and doesn't know who I am anymore. Sophie told me David's trying to contest the result, saying the cake caused it. His lawyer is apparently trying to prove it was accidental ingestion. I can't even begin to describe how ridiculous that sounds. He's actually sitting in court telling people his sister's baking made him relapse. If that's not the definition of weak, I don't know what is. Mom begged me not to talk about it, but honestly, I think people deserve to know the truth. So I told a few relatives that David had been hanging around bars a few weeks before that dinner. It wasn't even a lie. I saw pictures on a mutual friend's story, him sitting at a pub. He tried to say he was just watching the game. Yeah, because that's what all recovering alcoholics do, hang out at a bar watching the game. I didn't even have to say much, just mentioned it casually in the family group. Let them draw their own conclusions. Now everyone's arguing with each other. Mom says I'm spreading rumors. Dad says he doesn't know what to believe. Sophie is sitting back saying she's glad the truth is out. I know it sounds bad, but I feel calm about it. Like, for the first time, nobody's pretending anymore. They can call me whatever they want, vindictive, spiteful, twisted. I don't care. I'm the only one who ever held him accountable. Everyone else babies him. Sophie told me she wants to take David back to court and push for full custody. She said she's going to bring up the failed test as proof he's not ready. She asked if I'd testify that it wasn't intentional, that I didn't mean to cause the test result, but that it happened because he shouldn't have eaten it. I said sure, why not? It's not even a lie. We started talking more after that. She told me she can't stop thinking about how good it felt seeing him finally face consequences. Said she wishes she could have seen his face when the test came back. I told her I laughed when Mom told me. She said she laughed too. It's strange we're both laughing at something that technically ruined him, but neither of us feel bad. I think that says a lot about what kind of person he's been to us. Sometimes I think Sophie understands me better than my own family ever has. She gets what it's like to live with the wreckage he causes. We're not best friends or anything, but we talk. She's been sending me screenshots of messages David sends her apologizing, begging, promising he's still sober. We just roll our eyes. It's like he doesn't even realize how predictable he is. Update 2. I didn't expect the hearing to go the way it did. I thought I'd be nervous, maybe feel a bit guilty, but honestly, it was almost fun watching everything unfold. Everyone was tense, except me. I felt calm the whole time, like I already knew what was going to happen, and everyone else was just catching up. To give context, David was trying to argue that the positive test wasn't his fault, said it was accidental ingestion. His lawyer wanted to prove it was my cake that caused it, not him drinking. I nearly laughed when I found that out. It's funny how he always finds someone else to blame. Even now, when it's about his own body, he wants me to take responsibility for it. Mom and Dad showed up looking like they were attending a funeral. Sophie looked fine, composed. She was polite to me before it started, but I could tell she was holding back a smile. It's like she already knew he was going to lose too. When they called me in to speak, I didn't even feel nervous. I told them I baked the cake, that it was a family tradition. I said I used rum flavoring, not actual alcohol, but couldn't say exactly what bottle was used since I'd thrown it out. I mentioned I didn't think a small trace could cause a positive test unless his system was already sensitive. The judge nodded, wrote something down. I could see David staring at me like he wanted to kill me. His lawyer tried to press me, asked if I thought the cake could have been a trigger. I said, I just wanted everyone to enjoy dessert. If someone can't handle that, maybe that says something about where they're at. It sounded innocent enough, but the look on the judge's face told me everything. It was over for him right there. They brought up his rehab record, his relapse history, and how this test violated his sobriety clause for visitation. The more they talked, the smaller he looked. His face turned red. He kept glancing at Sophie like she might change her mind halfway through, but she didn't. She just sat there with her arms crossed. When the judge read the decision, visitation revoked indefinitely, I looked at Sophie. She mouthed, finally. Outside the courtroom, Mom was shaking. Dad told me I should be ashamed. I didn't even respond. I just stood there watching David try to argue with Sophie in the hallway. She ignored him and walked right past me. I smiled. I know that probably sounds awful, but I couldn't help it. Later that night, I went home and listened to the audio I secretly recorded. Yes, I recorded the whole thing. I wanted to remember it exactly as it happened. No one twisting the story later. I must have listened to it 3 times in a row. There's something about hearing the moment someone realizes they've lost everything. The silence that follows. You can almost hear his world collapse. I sent the recording to Sophie, told her it might help her feel at peace. She thanked me and said she'd forward it to her lawyer for her own records. I didn't think much of it after that. But then 2 days later, the audio was everywhere. Somehow it got into our family group chat. Mom was furious. She called it humiliation and said I was taunting him. I didn't send it to them, so I assume Sophie did. David texted me after that. Said I ruined his life and that he hoped I never have kids. I didn't reply. He said worse things to people who actually tried to help him. I just blocked the number. Mom hasn't stopped crying. Dad said I'm beyond help. They both told me not to show up to any family gatherings for a while. I honestly don't care. I think this whole thing just exposed what was already true. They'll always protect him. Doesn't matter how much he messes up. Doesn't matter how many times he drags them through hell. Somehow it's always my fault. Sophie hasn't texted me since that recording leaked. I guess she got what she wanted: full custody, sympathy from the court, everyone treating her like the responsible one. Maybe she used me, I don't even care. At least someone finally won something out of all this mess. I heard from my aunt that David's been telling people I spiked the cake on purpose, like I poured a bottle of rum in it just to watch him fail. That's not even how it works. It was 1 cup, baked for an hour. Any alcohol would have cooked off. The test caught him because he slipped before that dinner. I'm sure of it. To prove it, I actually mailed a frozen slice of the cake to the courthouse. I put it in a container with a note that said, "For evidence. Enjoy." I thought it was funny. They didn't. Someone from the court called my dad and said I needed to stop interfering. Whatever. I just wanted them to see it for themselves. Mom said I'm losing it. She told my cousin I need therapy. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I'm not the one failing drug tests and crying in court. Update 3. I don't even know what to call what happened this weekend. I guess intervention is the word they used, but it felt more like a setup. I've been keeping to myself since the court thing. No family dinners, no calls, no fake check-ins. Mom's tried a few guilt trips here and there, but for the most part, they've all been quiet. So when she texted last week saying she wanted to clear the air over brunch, I figured maybe they finally came to their senses. I was stupid enough to go. I showed up early, dressed nice, calm, ready to have a civilized talk. The restaurant was one of those places Mom loves, quiet and family-friendly. I walked in and saw not just Mom and Dad, but David, Sophie, and some woman I didn't recognize at first turned out to be Summer's therapist. Mom started off with that soft voice she uses when she's pretending to be calm. She said they were all worried about me, that I've been acting erratic. I asked how exactly baking a cake and telling the truth in court counted as erratic. No one answered. David sat there looking like a victim again, and Sophie kept pretending to wipe her nose even though she wasn't crying yet. Then the therapist who I'd never met starts saying they think I'm harboring resentment and projecting guilt onto my family. She said they weren't there to judge me, just to offer help. I wanted to laugh. These people have blamed me for everything since childhood, and now suddenly they want to help? Please. I asked them if this was about forgiveness or control. No one spoke. So I pulled out my phone and hit record. I wanted it all documented: the tone, the words, the fake concern. Mom told me to put my phone away. I didn't. David started talking next. He said I'd destroyed his progress and humiliated him publicly. He said I'd cost him his daughter and his reputation. I told him he managed that just fine without me. He slammed his hand on the table and the therapist told him to breathe. It was almost funny. Then Sophie started crying for real. She said she felt manipulated by me, that I encouraged her anger during the custody case and fed her resentment. I reminded her of the messages she sent thanking me, telling me I'd saved her from another round of false hope. She said I twisted her words. I read one of them out loud. She told me to stop. I didn't. I read another one. Mom was begging me to put the phone down at that point, saying we could talk privately. I said, no, let's do this in the open for once. Dad stood up then. He said this wasn't healthy. I asked him when anything in this family was healthy. He told me to leave. I told him to make me. It got quiet after that. I don't remember exactly what triggered it next, but Sophie said something about Summer being afraid of me. That did it. I snapped. I asked her if she taught her daughter that, or if she just likes lying to anyone who'll listen. I told her she used me, and then turned around to play the saint. She got up and left crying. Mom tried to follow her, but I grabbed my glass of wine and threw it at the wall. Not at anyone, just the wall. It shattered, and the whole restaurant went silent. I told them they could all keep pretending he's some fragile hero, but I'm done cleaning up his messes. I don't even remember how I got home. I was shaking the whole drive. I posted part of the recording later that night, not all of it, just the part where Sophie admits she felt relieved when the test came back positive. I thought people should hear it. It didn't go the way I expected. Within a day, Mom's sister called screaming at me. Apparently the recording made its way around the extended family. Sophie's lawyer sent a message saying I violated privacy laws. Someone from my job, yes, I still have one, pulled me aside and said they saw something concerning online. I told them it's a family matter. They didn't look convinced. Dad left me a voicemail saying I need help. I deleted it. David sent a text saying he hopes I rot alone. I didn't even bother replying. I muted everyone. Final update. I didn't get an invite this year. Not that I expected one, honestly. Thanksgiving morning. I woke up alone, the apartment quiet. I poured myself a cup of coffee and stared at the table. That's when I had the idea. I knew they were all sitting at their fancy table somewhere, pretending everything was fine, and I could make them remember the truth. I dug through my drawers and found the little USB stick I'd been working on for weeks. I'd compiled everything: the recordings from the custody hearing, the brunch intervention, and Sophie's old thank you texts, the ones she swore never existed once she ghosted me. I stitched it together with that cheerful, ridiculously upbeat holiday music I found online. My own little documentary of hypocrisy. I labeled it Family Memories in big letters. Nothing subtle. Then I mailed it. Priority. With a little note that just said, enjoy your holiday. That was it. No explanation, no apology, no warning. I didn't even imagine what they'd do. I just wanted them to have a little taste of what it's like to be on the receiving end of the truth. Hours later, the fallout began. Mom called first. I could hear the sobs immediately. She didn't even speak, just cried into the phone. I stayed calm, didn't respond, let her unravel. Then Dad left a voicemail. I didn't even listen to it all. From the sound of it, he was furious, calling me truly sick, and saying I'd crossed a line that couldn't be fixed. I didn't care. And then, of course, Sophie emailed me a cease and desist. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. I mean, she called the lawyers, but she had literally ghosted me after getting the custody leverage she wanted. This was perfect. The timing, the delivery, everything about it was just right. She'd gotten to win back then, and now she was on the losing end. Justice has a funny way of playing out. David posted online about finally cutting out toxicity. I did not respond. I screenshot it and saved it. The irony of him calling me toxic when he'd been drinking himself into oblivion, lying to everyone, and now publicly acting like a martyr, it was delicious. I sat there, coffee in hand, thinking about every time they'd all piled blame onto me while ignoring the obvious problems in their own lives. Every time they told me I was overreacting, overstepping, being dramatic, all of it came back in that moment. I spent the rest of the day quietly. I cooked myself a small Thanksgiving meal turkey breast, some stuffing, green beans. I poured a glass of wine, which, yes, I drank while listening to one of the clips on the USB, hearing Mom scream in the restaurant, David trying to make excuses, Sophie crying over texts I'd read aloud. It was surreal. It felt like I was living in two timelines at once, one quiet, one explosive, and I liked it. Part of me wondered if I'd gone too far. I know legally the USB could get me in trouble. I know they could try to sue me for privacy violations. But the truth is, they've been violating me for decades, making me the scapegoat, the crazy one, the one who needs help. I don't care about the law here. I cared about the story being told, the narrative corrected. I was tired of being silent. The oddest part is the silence that followed. None of them called again after the initial meltdown. No apologies, no threats, nothing. I imagine they're sitting there staring at that little stick, trying to figure out which part of me they can hate most. Maybe it's the recording of me reading Sophie's old messages. Maybe it's my calm, smug voice in the court clips. Maybe it's the knowledge that I had been the only one actually protecting Summer from chaos all along. It doesn't matter. I don't need them to say anything. I already know. I don't feel lonely. Not really. I feel relieved. Free. The world didn't end without them. And somehow, the truth has never tasted sweeter than it does right now.